Today I'm going to show you how to make what I think is one of the most important pieces of gear you can have as a videographer. An all-enclosed charging case. Now I know that there's more of a trend towards building charging walls if you're looking for all-inclusive solutions on YouTube, but if it isn't already clear by the name itself, they aren't really practical solutions for handling your batteries in the field. So if most of your work takes place in the field rather than in the studio, here's how you can make one of these all-inclusive cases that will run your chargers off of a single wall plug. So here's my V1 that I made several years ago. I just took a basic Apache 3800 case from Harbor Freight. As you can see, this thing is sticker bombed to hell. It's been through the airplanes and TSA more times than I can count, and it's been a very useful companion for me the last several years that I've been doing videography. If we take a look inside here, in my particular scenario here, what I've created, mine has room for 2 phone charging battery banks. These ones also have lights on them, so you can actually use them as lights for the case itself. And then in here you'll find I have solutions for my drone batteries, a 4-bay NPF, an 8-port USB hub, and AA battery charging for my audio recorders, plus a dual bay for my LPE17 batteries that my Canon R8 uses. Then, if we take a look underneath the platform, all I've got to do is lift up the wood here. This is one of the best parts about having one of these cases, is that you can run the entire system off of a single extension cord. So many times I see people like grabbing these individual chargers or single battery banks, and then you need to go and bring an entire power extension cord, or you need to use a USB hub to be able to distribute power to everything. The nice part about building everything into an all-in-one solution like this is that you can run all of that stuff ahead of time, and then using one of these ports, which I'll show you more about in a second, you can run the entire case off of a single extension cable. So let's not waste any more time and get right into how we're going to build this thing. First thing you'll need to do is decide how many and what type of chargers you're going to want to include in this case. Is it going to focus on a single type of battery or be more general purpose in its application? This will be important for when you decide what size case you're going to need. The next step will be to head to your local camera store and get the chargers you need. Or just go to Amazon, find what's cheapest and fits your dimensions more likely. Jokes aside though, as much as I like supporting my local camera stores, and I do a lot of times when it comes to buying my lenses or camera bodies secondhand, finding these kind of multi-chargers to make efficient use of the space in a case like this just really isn't possible, and believe me, I've tried. For this build, you're going to need one of these, one of those, 2 of these, 2 of them, and definitely one of these. Or if you couldn't read the boxes from there, an 8-port USB hub. I like this one because its ports face straight up and there's a power readout screen. A power strip with USB ports on it. 2 NPF style 4-bay chargers. 2 4-bay LPE6 style chargers. And an RV external power socket. This piece is what's going to make the whole project look professional. Now onto the case. I like to use these Apache cases from Harbor Freight since they're cheap and I can go get one in 10 minutes if I wanted. Use whatever system you already have, but know that we're going to be doing irreversible cuts to this box, so the cheaper the better this case in case you mess it up. And on that point, this project is a great way to use old plastic blow molded cases that may get thrown out otherwise. I built 3 of these exact same cases several years ago for an audio mixing friend that picked them up secondhand from a camera shop. They were form-fitted for gear that was no longer inside of them, so they were seemingly useless outside of their original use case. Once I removed the foam and added the rest of the parts I'm about to show you, they became the perfect second life for these cases that otherwise would have been thrown away. Once you get everything unboxed, we're going to lay out all the chargers in an orientation that's going to bring the power connection points to a single point in the middle of the case. You'll see why later. Once you've got everything roughed out in place and you know that it'll all fit, move it all out of the way so we can make the wooden platform that everything will attach to. So we'll measure and cut this 2x2 1/2-inch plywood board to size. I'm using power tools to make my life easier, but if you don't have them, hand tools will clearly work fine, and if you can't be bothered to go get those, then why are you watching this video in the first place? But Home Depot or Lowe's will actually cut your board to size right in the store. Once those are cut by you or the orange aprons, sand down all the edges and specifically the corners you're going to want to round off. The contours of this case are rounded and your board will fit much nicer in there if you do this step. Drop your board in to see if it fits, and then remember that you haven't drilled any holes to grab it out, so it almost gets stuck in there. The next step is really the point of no return, in that Harbor Freight definitely will not let you return this case after we drill a big hole in it. On Amazon, some of these RV socket listings will come with the hole saw bit that you'll need to cut into this case. If you can't find that for some reason, you'll need a 2-inch bit to drill out the hole you'll need to add this socket to the case. I like to measure this socket to be as low down in the case as possible. It's important to do this as the top of the socket will be the resting point for your platform to sit on. Find the center, roughly, grab your drill, and hope you did your measurements right. Looks good. Then drop the socket in, and use the 3 screws to screw it into the case. And now you've made an irreversible commitment to the bit. So let's go ahead and drill some more holes into this case. Now we have 1 resting point for the platform. Let's add 2 more. I'm using some scrap plywood offcuts from other woodworking attempts I've done, but if you're not a DIY masochist like me who saves every scrap of wood they have, then you can do what I did on the Mark I of this case and get a bunch of thick popsicle sticks glued together and use them as your resting platform. I cut and sanded these off camera, since you already know what that looks like, and now we're going to secure these to the box. It's important to match the top of these wood blocks to the top of where your power socket is resting, otherwise the whole platform could be wobbly inside of the case. Once you find your mounting points, grab some wood screws you have laying around and drill them in from the outside of the case. And there we go. That's all the modification to the case that we'll need to do. Now that it's all mounted and solid, drop your platform in and see how she fits. Great. One final cut to make. Remember how we oriented all of our chargers towards the center of the case? Well, that was so we could route all of our charger wires through a single hole in the platform. I marked with a pen our rough placement of the hole, and then took a 1-inch paddle bit to drill a hole big enough to get all of our cables through. If you for some reason don't have paddle bits, use the 2-inch hole saw that you got from the socket to make this hole. Also, on plywood like this, try and drill your hole into a spare piece of 2x4 that you have, so you don't blow out the back of your platform. Now that it's all done, I like to give it a coat of paint just to keep the wood lasting a bit longer and give it a more professional finish. Also, I swear I'm usually a better painter than this. The paint I was using was just old and made me end up looking like a 5-year-old learning how to finger paint. Once everything is dried and you wash the incriminating evidence off of your hands, it's time to assemble. There's plenty of ways to affix these chargers to the wooden platform you've made, but with anything that I DIY, I like to make it as modular and customizable as possible. So I opt for these adhesive hook and loop strips, or Velcro for those who don't know, to attach everything in place. They're strong enough to keep your chargers from moving, even if they get dropped, and give you the flexibility if you want to swap chargers out later to suit your battery needs. Plug everything into the power strip beneath the platform. And there you have it, a finished product that even TSA couldn't break if they tried. This case has been the backbone of keeping me stress-free when I'm traveling and filming, because even if I think I didn't bring enough batteries, access to a single wall port, or even just plugging it into a solar generator like a Jackery, helps keep me up and running for the whole day with this solution. If you found this video useful, please drop me a comment telling me what you thought, whether you thought it was good, great, or you think I'm a reckless fire hazard for not including cooling fans. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.